Now, comedians of all stripes have been speaking out today in defence of the controversial comic Jerry Sadowitz. His act was cancelled by the Pleasance in Edinburgh the weekend after the first night of his two-night run. The venue said his material did not align with their values and that his views were not acceptable.
In response, Sadowitz, who is known for his provocative stand-up shows, said his show had been cheapened and simplified, and in real life he didn't want to offend or upset anyone. Well, let's speak now to the satirist Konstantin. Konstantin, thanks for being with us. You've been writing about this today. I know you feel strongly about all this. People will be wondering, what did Jerry Sadowitz say? We're not going to go into that in any specifics because some of the words themselves are too offensive for us to broadcast. But he argues, as we've said, context is everything. This was part of a much broader act. Let me ask you this. Is it ever OK to use overtly racist, misogynistic, homophobic language in a comedy act?
Well, you said it yourself in your introduction that it's all about the context, and I'm afraid there's a very large number of people commenting on this story who haven't seen Jerry Sadowitz or haven't seen his show. And it's a very interesting thing that seems to be applied only and exclusively to comedy. Like if you go to watch Macbeth with your family, you don't come back going, oh, I saw a play and then this guy went mental and stabbed his friend. You go, it's a performance, it's a theatrical performance. And the character of Macbeth and all the other characters in that piece are characters, theatrical characters, in exactly the same way that Jerry Sadowitz's act is a comedic character. And so what a character may do is completely different.
Yeah, but listen, I mean, I've seen Jerry Sadowitz live in the last couple of years. I went to see him myself. He is very offensive, he is very challenging, but he's not an obvious character. It's not like Steve Coogan playing Alan Partridge. He comes on and maintains this act as he has done right through his entire career. And it's not obvious necessarily what he's doing and how he's doing it. But let me ask you again my initial question.
To whom?
Well, necessarily to everybody in the audience. But let me just go back to my first question. Is it ever OK then to use overtly racist, sexist, homophobic language in a comedy show?
Well, as I explained, if there is a character that is doing a performance, then they may be able to do things that a person expressing their opinions may not. This is one of the problems with what the Pleasance has done in this case. Instead of saying we don't like his material, what they actually said, if you go and read the statement, is we do not agree with some of the opinions Jerry Sadowitz expressed, as if a comedy character is the same as a person's opinions. And this is the problem. We seem to have forgotten that, yes, some words are very offensive, but he didn't say them on the BBC One Scotland show. He said them in the context of a very specific comedy performance. I strongly, by the way, disagree with you that it's not obvious that this is a character. I remind you, this is a man who exposes himself on stage as part of his act and has been doing this for a very long time. Going to a Jerry Sadowitz show and being offended is like a vegan going to a steak restaurant and being horrified that there's dead animals on the table. It's ridiculous.
So what we have here essentially is a venue censoring an act. Does that concern you as an industry? We're already hearing reports tonight that a venue in Dundee is now considering a gig that he's supposed to be doing there.
Well, it's not something that concerns me. I've been talking and writing about this for many years now. The comedy industry is going to be destroyed by this process because what will happen is people like me and many others who want to do challenging things and push the boundaries, they're going to go online, and then you're not going to have the stand-ups tour in the country in anything like the same way. It would also mean over time that the Edinburgh Festival becomes less appealing and fewer people will come and perform there and fewer people come and watch shows there. We have seen only in recent years the cancellation of the MASH report, the cancellation of Mock the Week. I'm told that Live at the Apollo is next. This culture of censorship and restriction is destroying comedy, and it will destroy the TV comedy that many millions of people have been enjoying for years, as it already has done with other shows. And this process will continue.
Yeah, just speaking from a personal experience, as I said, I went to see him a couple of years ago in Konstantin. One thing that I found actually quite troubling that night was I sensed that quite a lot of people in the audience were there so they could laugh at a bit of racism because they don't get the chance all that often. Does that trouble you?
If I were a mind reader like you, it would trouble me. I have no idea why the people were enjoying his show. I have more faith in human beings than perhaps you do. I believe that people are able to understand irony and very clever comedy that Jerry Sadowitz does.
Well, as you correctly point out, I was there, you weren't. I was watching what was going on around me and trying to assess who thought what about it. But listen, it was fascinating to hear.
And how did you assess that? Sorry.
Well, just by judging, by watching people watching their body language and listening to them around the venue.
You can tell what someone thinks.
No,
from
I'm
their
not.
body language.
I'm not saying I knew
Very
what they were
impressive.
thinking. I'm just saying it struck me that that might have
No,
been
no,
the
you
case.
did say you knew what they were thinking.
No,
You said exactly that. You said that you knew that
I said
they
I
were
was
there to laugh
concerned
at
they
the
might have been.
racism.
But listen, we are out of time, and it's been fascinating to hear your opinions this evening. Konstantin, thank you very much indeed
Thank you for having me.
being with us this evening.